Today on my show, I'll be talking to Dr. Vilas Sastry, the founder of teledentistry.com and the inspiration from a recent article in Dental Products Report, The Uberization of Teledentistry. Welcome to my show today, Dr. Sastry.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure, and um, can't believe I'm here. So it's
No,
pretty cool.
we talked a lot, and this article I just wrote was really exciting, and but really is kind of a background. I was really interested in kind of you're somewhat of a pioneer along with a few others in teledentistry, and you've been doing it for a while. Kind of go back and talk to me about the impetus. How did you really get into this whole teledentistry thing?
Well, that's actually a question I get a lot, actually, and the basic fundamentals of dentistry is you have to be good at managing a patient's pain when they come in to see you, because that's kind of what drives them to come into the dental practice, right? I've cracked a tooth, I have a big hole in my tooth, or I have an abscess or something, and so that's like basic dentistry, right?
Right.
Actions, root canals, pain management, really, and infection control. And so I looked at that, and my experience was that when we were starting up our practice in 2006, just prior to the recession that took place, from there on out, we built our practice, our very first brick and mortar practice, with that mindset that this is going to be what we do. And when the recession hit, it just washed over us like nothing happened, because what we realized was that's all that people cared about, once the recession happened, because they could not come away, or they could not avoid the dentist if they're in that much pain. Naturally, you got to go and get your services taken care of, if or get your teeth taken care of if they're causing you that much of an issue.
So I have a
So
question. Did this kind of come to you as an epiphany, or just by having your practice, did it just an awareness of a lot of these folks just come to you for pain?
it definitely was an epiphany. I won't, because at the time when you start up a practice, you're getting hit with like so many different things from so many different agencies and vested interests.
Right.
They're telling you to buy certain equipments, and buy certain types of veneers, or certain types of composites, or this or that. I mean, there's a whole host of sales agents that hit you in the very beginning when you're starting a practice, and that's designed to get you to buy as much of their stuff as possible, right?
Right.
But and some dentists get sucked into this thing, and you kind of get like, okay, got to keep buying more and more equipment, keep buying the better and better equipment, and that's okay. You can buy nice equipment. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that, but really look at the utility of it. Does it serve your patient, well, and does it serve what they want, you know? And that phrase right there, what does the patient want? You know, was the epiphany. Is in like, how do you service that, what they want, which is to get out of pain as fast as possible, and then get back to whatever they want to do. You
Right.
know,
So at the time then, now teledentistry and telehealth has been around a while. Did you kind of consider that, or did you just go, wow, I could use teledentistry? What kind of got you to the technology part of it to help you
so
serve these patients?
so initially this wasn't a this. I mean, this we're talking about 2007, and
Right,
so this is a long time ago.
right,
At this point now, teledentistry was not on my mind at the time, but definitely this pain control and pain management of patients was. And so I very diligently set about, finding ways to make sure that if there was a patient who had a dental pain issue, to come and visit our practices. So it became like an urgent care dental emergency type of a slant to our practice.
mhm,
And we really went out of our way to get same day appointments, same day treatment, stuff like that. Slowly that evolved, into from online marketing to online forms to online text messaging, and then it became eventually what we now consider to be teledentistry, and where we have instant two-way communication via video, a whole suite of features is all baked into the program, and of course the Uberization of the dentist time, so that they can actually provide these services to
right,
patients when they want it. You see,
right,
a couple. I mean, it sounds very simple. What do patients want? It's also when they want it. See, because as we all know, patients will let a toothache go for a long time before they seek care. So it's not like it's like they have a small issue and then they come running into the dental practice to get it resolved. No, sometimes they let it go, you know, all the way to the point where like the whole tooth is just a real emergency now. And that's when they want it. You see? So you have to be ready to service them when the patient wants the care that they want. And that's where teledentistry.com was born.
Okay. And so the whole idea, you used the term Uberization, and that was intriguing because you're the first person to actually use that term. And that intrigued me. That's how, when we first met and started talking, I was really impressed by what you call the Uberization of dentistry, which is obviously where a lot of other companies in the world are going. Can you talk about what Uberization means, and then a little bit so folks understand, right? Because
Sure.
kind of what the workflow is when you talk about Uberization, and
Sure.
because every teledentistry company, every teledentistry application says that you can connect to a teledentist, right? But the Uberization is a little more immediate, I believe. So talk to me a little bit about the workflow, what Uberization means.
Absolutely. Um, this whole concept was born out of the fact that our when we first created our company, which was 2017, our first contract was with Medicaid here in the state of Nevada. So
Hmm.
it's not like we went and created a technology platform and then went and sold it to one or two dental practices. Our first client had 300,000 members.
Wow.
So by necessity, we had to create a system that could service those patients right off the bat whenever they wanted it. You see, again, I keep coming back to that when the patient wants the service, okay? That's the Uberization piece, okay? When you as a individual and you use Uber, for example, right? You when you want a cab, it shows up, right? So that's the service. Okay. So when you want a dentist, okay, a state licensed dentist will then show up on your smartphone and then provide you with the care that you need. And that, in essence, is the Uberization, the instantification of the provision of healthcare to patients when they want it.
So it's interesting because when you talk about the Uber concept, a lot of that, obviously, as we all know, depends upon the technology behind it. So, just in general, in terms of workflows, can you talk to me about what you're doing? I mean, we talked before, and you mentioned that, for example, the quote virtual dentist can be able to check in and say, "Hey, I'm available," and the system can recognize it. Talk to me a little bit about how the workflow would work if a patient wanted to tell a dentist through your system.
Certainly. Okay. So, I mean, we're in Las Vegas, right? We have patients coming to us or people coming to us from all over the whole country.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So we have patients will fly in from New York or Florida or wherever, and they'll be here on vacation or for a conference or whatever, and they'll have a dental emergency. They access our service. Okay, within seconds, a state licensed Nevada dentist will hop on the system with them, a virtual dentist, do a live video conference with them, provide them with an antibiotic and painkiller, no opioids, of course, that they can pick up at the local pharmacy, and then the patient can, get their matter resolved. Now, if it's something that requires actual physical intervention, immediately they'll be referred to a local dentist to get that sorted out. On the back end, when it comes to the technology, that's a little more intricate. And so, how it works essentially is, let's say I'm a dentist and I want to sign up with teledentistry.com as this kind of a panel dentist or an Uber dentist, right? So what you'll do is you'll sign up, you'll get credentialed and contracted like you would with any other dental company, right? And then you'll go through NCQA credentialing and verification of your credentials, that is. Then when a patient requests your service, right, you have the option to say yes or no. Like, let's say you're, chilling out at home and you're watching TV or whatever, and you get a notification that a patient requests your service. Well, you're more than welcome to pick it up. If you don't, it'll just go to the next dentist in that state who is licensed, and then that dentist will then have that same option. So, like that, we have hundreds of dentists on our system who are licensed in a given state, and so who will constantly be like just routing these calls and handling these patients as they come into the system. And so that's how the system works.
Interesting. So basically, I'm a geek. I'm a software kind of guy, an IT guy myself, and I'm always interested in kind of the next steps. And I'm assuming that over time, this whole process, just like with Uber, with your underlying technology, it just becomes more and more automated, where things just flow right over to the virtual dentist. So things happen quicker and quicker automatically. I mean, I assume that's what we're probably looking for in the future, correct?
Certainly, yeah. As we contract with more and more insurance companies, we do have already several insurance companies. Just look at our website, and you can look at our partners page. We service now millions of patients. And from those early days when we were serving just a couple 100,000, and so now what happens is we've already identified all the different parts of the chain that require automation. There are some elements of it that require a human in there. And you want that, because when you're in that kind of a moment, when you're having that kind of dental pain as a patient, I don't think we're yet there where we want a pure robot experience, if that makes any sense.
Right, right.
So there
Sure.
there should be a human element in there that kind of walks you through the system, guides you through, and then introduce you to Dr. John Doe. And that's critical. I feel there's a lot of things that can be automated though, and they should be, but there is a human element that is required.
Sure.
So
And
I
that makes a
believe,
lot of sense. In
yeah,
every system I've worked on the last 20, 30 years, there always is some human intervention somewhere.
yeah, it has to.
The thing Dr. Sastry really intrigued me as we spoke for the article was that, I do a lot of research because of what I do with Dental Products Report and dentaladvisor.com, softwareadvisor.com, and other websites I've done. And in teledentistry, I've seen teledentistry companies that do have networks of dentists,
Sure.
and I've seen teledentistry companies that offer software to groups, DSOs, practices to use, right? I think the thing that intrigued me most for the article was that you seem to do both. When we were talking, you had mentioned, so there's the one side of contacting a teledentistry.com dentist, right? If you're a patient, you're in Las Vegas, you're at a convention. But then there's the other side you're telling me about some of your, for example, DSO and group customers that actually offer the same service, but instead of a teledentistry.com virtual dentist, it would be a virtual dentist within the DSO that was available. And I thought that was really interesting because in that case, the DSO group is using your software to actually use their own dentist. Can you tell me a little bit about that and that workflow?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I should start off with the genesis of how this particular concept, this
Sure.
particular
Yeah.
application of our system came about. And I run my own DSO here in Las Vegas. And, as any owner of a DSO will tell you, you know, the dentist is not always drilling on somebody's teeth. There's a lot of downtime in between the patient from notes to prepping stuff and, whatnot. And I looked at that and I said, okay, there's a lot of inefficiencies here that happen because we have patients who no show sometimes. We have post-op appointments that could have been handled easily over the telephone or via video conference. We have downtime by the dentist, right? So these three things, when you just add them up, it actually translates to a lot of money on a day-to-day basis, on a doctor-to-doctor basis. So what I said was, okay, what if we take our technology and then boil it down to be something that is specific to just one sub branch or like a DSO? And that's
Sure.
exactly what we did. And so rather than having like this global panel of dentists, right, that's servicing like, millions of patients across the entire country, instead now it's just boiled down to like a few practices, and only those dentists within that practice are servicing their own patients. And this is exactly what you're talking about when it comes to the DSO model. So now a patient can't know it. Now, let's say now we have a DSO with three practices, A, B, and C. Now the dentist in practice A, super slam schedule. He's doesn't got time to turn around. He's just working nonstop. Practice number C though, okay, schedule's a little lighter, and the dentist is still there. Now, why not leverage that dentist time to help support the organization in both practices A and B and C? You see? So now you're basically saying, okay, now I can virtualize this person because now they don't have to go traveling for up and down. They can do the post-operative consults, for example, for the patients of practice number A. They can do the post-op or even initial triage consultations for the practice number B. And so that's how you Uberize within the DSO. And we have excellent
Great.
examples of this and workflows that we've already well established for our clients, and it's working very well. You know?
And I assume that, given that you do have your own network as well, I assume there might be times, let's say you have DSO, and let's say none of their quote virtual dentists are available. I'm assuming the system is able to roll over to your dentist, correct? And they really
Yes,
wouldn't
exactly.
know the difference necessarily if it was a DSO dentist or yours, correct?
Right, exactly. And now let's say now, okay, that same dentist who was sitting in practice number C, okay, incidentally had a patient who needed, all their attention, right? And now they're busy, and the front desk is still needing somebody to help support them virtually. That's where we introduced our overflow consult system within our technology platform to tap into the hundreds of dentists we have that are available to do virtual consultations for that same practice, and so it's like having a virtual associate on demand whenever you want it. Again, Uberization of the
Sure.
dentist.
The other thing I want to ask you, where you're a little bit unique, I think, in docs I've talked to, is that you have your own DSO, you founded telltale.dentistry.com, but you also have quite a bit of experience in the insurance business. And that, from talking to you for our article, that actually ties in a lot into why you created the Uberization. Can you talk a little bit about your insurance experience and how that kind of works with everything we're talking about?
Sure. This stems back to when we first started our practice here in Las Vegas. Um, I was kind of hard pressed to find the best way to get patients to come into our practice. Any starting dentist will tell you that. Hey, how do we get new patients to come in? And usually the answer is, well, go and sign contracts with a bunch of insurance companies, do marketing and all that stuff, and that's great. No question about it. That works. Online marketing, so on and so forth. But I took it a step further and I said, okay, what if I were to actually sell insurance
Hmm.
to these patients and then have them walk into my practice? Now I've created two, streams of income for myself. And I had all the time in the world because I was starting out my practice, and I said, hey, if I don't do this, then who's going to do it?
Right.
And so I went out and about. I got my insurance license, learned all about health, life insurance, securities, variables, you name it. You know what I mean? And I just took it upon myself to learn everything about this industry and what it means, to have safeguards built into an insurance policy. Why an insurance policy pays out on certain types of treatments at a certain time, and what does that mean for the patient? What does it mean for the insurance company? And how does it work in everybody's favor? Why is it that you have to have group rates? There's so much to it.
Sure.
And so I took a lot from that, and I realized that people typically don't buy dental insurance, individual insurance, especially, which is what I was selling, um, unless they have something pressing, you know, like it, they will only buy dental insurance when they have a dental issue. So no, it's very rare for somebody to be that proactive and say, my teeth are absolutely fine. I'm going to go buy dental insurance. It's not like that. Usually it's my teeth are completely messed up, and I need a dentist now, so I'm going to buy dental insurance. You see, so it's a completely different mindset. It's unlike life insurance, which is like, okay, I'm going to buy life insurance with the expectation that when I pass, then somebody might get a benefit. You know what I mean? It's a very different type of a feel to the way in which you sell this product. So through that process, what I discovered was patients who buy dental insurance typically are already in some sort of discomfort. So they're already having some kind of problem. So they buy the dental insurance, and then it's my job now as the dentist, and I discovered this very quickly, to give them the bad news that though I have sold you the dental insurance, though I am a dentist, you actually cannot use the policy until a few months have elapsed because there's a waiting period. And so I looked like a fool because I was like, oh my, I can't tell you how hard this was, because I would say, okay, well, wait a few moments. And I would do a free consultation for them, okay, to get them some antibiotic and painkiller and whatnot. Of course, no opioids again, to get them through that period of time until their policy would go into effect. So they'd be happy with the policy. So it was probably fine to do that. They came in as a patient and do the examination and whatnot. but you can't actually do any treatment because there's waiting periods for like an extraction or root canal, whatever, So that's when I realized, what if we had a method, a scalable method, right?
Hmm.
To like say, okay, go from, I'm in Las Vegas and there's an insurance agent out in Reno or Sacramento or San Francisco or wherever, and he's selling insurance. And that patient has that dental emergency the minute he sold the policy or very shortly thereafter, right? How does he get over the hump? How many dentists are going to actually be there like, to say, yeah, don't worry, come on in. We'll do this all at no charge. And then when you're feeling better, you can come back and see us. That rarely happens. So, but now if we have the system built in, if we have a value added benefit built into the dental insurance policy, how much more powerful is that sale for the dental insurance company, and how much better is it for the patient when they purchase a policy like this, because now they know they can get access to a dentist anywhere, anytime.
And now that you've had this going on for a while with relationships with insurance companies, are you seeing that the insurance companies are pleased that they're using the service? Is this kind of proving out your idea that teledentistry is getting more involved, connected to insurance carriers themselves?
So my biggest sale ever when I was a dental insurance salesman, okay, was a 50-man group of like a small auto shop out here, here in Las Vegas. Uh, we combined teledentistry with a carrier, and we went to bid on the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, which is 3,000 employees, and we
Hmm.
won that contract using this method, and that told me right away that yeah, this works. So we've had proven success. I mean, and Las Vegas Sands is no joke. I mean, they have like the Palazzo, the Venetian Casino, the Las Vegas Sands Expo Center, and we have many. I mean, that was in like November of last year, before COVID. By the way, COVID was on nobody's radar at that time.
Right,
It
right.
was just in like news, overseas news at the time, and but we were able to accomplish this. So you know that tells you that with or without COVID, teledentistry is here to stay, and teledentistry.com is here to stay. So
That's great. No, I'm really excited about the direction you've been taking this and the technology you're putting behind it. And I really look forward to seeing this. I've seen this in a lot of other industries, being a technologist myself, the Uberization, the quote Uberization of the industry. And it's a great concept that you started with.
thank you.
And I see you'll be continuing it. And obviously, I'd like to, as you build the company, I'd like to talk about other features. We obviously don't have time on this show, but from our conversations, I know you're working on some new and exciting other features that will support what you're doing. So again, Dr. Sastry, I appreciate your time with us today on the show. And in case somebody has any questions on what we're talking about, how would they get a hold of you?
Just send me an email is the best thing to do. So it's drvilas at teledentistry.com. So it's DRVILAS at teledentistry.com. And I'll be happy to reply as soon as I can.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate you.
Bye.